If you're like me, you may find it very difficult to follow this CNN BuzzFeed golden showers story. Hey, why is golden showers trending? Oh yeah, it's because BuzzFeed released a report that says Trump hired a bunch of hookers in Russia to pee in a bed for him. What? Why? I don't know, because he's a pervert or whatever. That's what the report says. Ah, and there's proof of this? Nah, it's just like written on a thing they found. And this is the same thing as hashtag POTUS? Yeah, that's the one. Clever. So let's get the facts, and then we'll analyze the journalistic ethics dilemma involved in this case. The story begins Tuesday when CNN reported that U.S. intelligence officials briefed both President Obama and President-elect Trump, claiming that Russian operatives have compromising personal and financial information about Trump and plan to use it to their advantage. The story reads, the allegations were presented in a 2-page synopsis that was appended to a report on Russian interference in the 2016 election. The allegations came in part from memos compiled by a former British intelligence operative, whose past work U.S. intelligence officials consider credible. The FBI is investigating the credibility and accuracy of these allegations, which are based primarily on information from Russian sources, but has not confirmed many essential details in the memos about Mr. Trump. After that CNN report, BuzzFeed published a 35-page compilation of these memos that CNN was reporting, which contain a series of salacious allegations, including the most widely tweeted paragraph claiming that while staying in the Moscow Ritz-Carlton presidential suite, Trump hired prostitutes to give him a golden shower on the bed because the Obamas formerly slept in it, and that's how much Trump hates them. The BuzzFeed report does note that none of these claims are verified, but defends the publication of this document for the purpose of letting Americans decide for themselves about the allegations. How BuzzFeed even obtained this document is unclear. BuzzFeed's editor-in-chief simply references characteristically ferocious reporting. Apparently the same ferocious reporting that brought you classic BuzzFeed pieces like Spot the Fuckboy, a game to hone your skills in superficial male judgment. Detailed GIF-assisted instructions on how to clean your penis correctly. And of course, what is your inner potato? Which I'm told is question 1 in the interview to get a job as a writer at BuzzFeed. But I digress. It's easy to rip BuzzFeed, and nearly everyone has for this decision they made. But before we pile on, let's consider a few things. First, BuzzFeed's approach, and second, the justifications they offer. BuzzFeed editor-in-chief Ben Smith appeared on Meet the Press Daily with Chuck Todd this week to speak to these issues, emphasizing BuzzFeed's upfront honesty about the lack of verification in this story.
In our original report, I mean, if you read what we wrote, it stressed that there were real solid reasons to distrust this. It noted 2 specific errors. Our impulse, and I think is to show the audience the underlying document, let them make their own decisions, and respect them to be able to doubt things. We've got to engage information that is out there, true and false. Do our best to verify it and be as transparent as we can with our readers about what we know, what we don't know, what we doubt. It's an incredibly uncomfortable thing, I think.
Perhaps you find that justification unsatisfying. We'll analyze that more in a moment, but I gotta admit, in today's media environment, I give credit for being upfront about your bullshit. Imagine if some of these recent stories had been qualified that way. Octopus Hands Trump groped this lady 30 years ago. Warning, story likely contains unverified bullshit. There's a spike in Trump-inspired hate crimes and harassment after the election. Warning, story likely contains unverified bullshit. Rolling Stones, a rape on campus. Warning, story definitely contains legally consequential, unverified bullshit. So in that context, I give credit where due for being upfront about what you can say with confidence and what you can't. But that minor merit alone doesn't fully explain BuzzFeed's decision. We need to answer the question of why BuzzFeed would publish admittedly unverified information in this specific case, because if the standard is just let the readers decide,
it is appropriate to tell your audience and to respect the fact that they can say this looks like nonsense.
If that's the standard, every tip to the BuzzFeed inbox would be published. If that's the standard, Suddenly their website becomes last of his species Sasquatch disputes Trump golden showers claims. He was with me that night. Oh, but it's unverified. So hey, at least they're honest. So beyond the philosophy of let the readers decide, there must be additional justification for why BuzzFeed chose to publish this document specifically. And Ben Smith offers two primary reasons. First, that because this document was circulating widely among political and media figures, that makes it an item of public interest.
This was a document that was not just circulating at the highest levels of the intelligence community, the most powerful intelligence officials in the country, referring to it in briefings to the President of the United States, President-elect reportedly. The political elite, top elected officials, the Gang of Eight, John McCain saw it. Certainly the media elite had it. And didn't just had it, we're starting to act on it. Harry Reid had written a letter referring to it. And I think when you have an object that is in play, that is having consequences for the way our elected leaders are acting, you do have to ask the question of why should I suppress that?
Maybe that adds an element of credibility or worthiness for public debate, but that is certainly true of a lot of things. Plenty of members of Congress have been skeptical of President Obama's birthplace throughout his presidency, but I don't see BuzzFeed publishing every birth certificate document that comes its way. There are plenty of politicians and public figures who dispute claims made about climate change, but BuzzFeed sees no reason to give them a platform and is plenty willing to tell you what to think about that issue. In fact, BuzzFeed is happy to tell you in every other context what news is fake and what news is real, but not in this one. So I'm unconvinced. What else you got, Ben?
I think if it was reported that the President of the United States was being briefed on a salacious personal report about me or some other piece of gossip, I think we would feel compulsion to print that document.
So the president himself was briefed on it, and that makes it an item of significance. But are you sure about that?
Did you guys make an effort to confirm whether or not he actually was briefed on this? And would that have made a difference in your decision?
We did a lot of reporting about the extent to which this was widely distributed at the highest levels. I do think there was also a report last night that was part of that. We did not have all of that ourselves.
So substantiating unsubstantiated information with unsubstantiated information. Well, at least in the meantime, we've received substantiation. Substantiation that this claim is false. President-elect Donald Trump was not told about unverified reports that Russia had compromising information on him during last week's intelligence briefing, according to a senior intelligence official with knowledge of preparations for the briefing. So I don't find any of Ben's reasoning persuasive. Considering Ben's case, I think Chuck Todd asks exactly the right question toward the end of the interview. Is this transparency, or is it just laziness?
But at what point, I understand this and that's all this in transparency, but transparency can turn into a crutch to turn into laziness.
It is a hallmark of good journalism to let the audience decide, but that is one component. Good journalism also vets the information it provides for accuracy, for reliability, for truth. A good journalist respects his audience enough to let them decide for themselves, but he also respects them enough to provide them with the best information possible. We as a society trust journalists to do the investigative deep diving we don't have time to do ourselves. And it's that effort that's missing here. Journalism isn't simply spamming, hey, here's a thing, and here's a thing, and here's a thing. You decide. That's just noise. Journalism is saying, hey, here is a thing, and you can trust it has been scrutinized for accuracy. And because of that vigorous process, you can use it to reach a quality conclusion yourself. Hopefully this will be a teachable moment for BuzzFeed. Maybe it will be. If not, I look forward to reading the final article. 37 cat gifs that perfectly explain BuzzFeed's bankruptcy filing. Yeah, that's one I'll actually click. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below and especially over on Twitter. That is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Okay, bye.